We begin the 21st letter. This letter, like many of the letters we've learned in the past, is about tzedakah, about charity. Each one has a different angle. So, as the Alter Rebbe says, after first duly inquiring after the welfare of those who love God's name, those among the people who are willingly volunteer to practice the righteous charitable ways of giving, and in particular because the Alter Rebbe was collecting for the Holy Land. How would they do that? By giving a set amount every year to the Holy Land, may be rebuilt and established speedily in our days. May my speech trickle like dew down to them and bestir them to act swiftly, to strengthen their hands, that they should be extremely willing to give and not hampered because of their poverty. Because the Jews in Russia were impoverished, but they weren't destitute like those in Israel at the time. That they should contribute monies to the land of Israel every week or at least every month from the assigned amount that they would give for the year. In other words, that they pledged a certain amount, they would give it once a year. Now that I was saying, give it every week or give it every month rather than just doing it one time a year. And of course, perhaps you can even add to that. And the reason he gives over here is the following, because there's a great virtue in swiftness and alacrity when it comes to all of the commandments in the Torah. In other words, do them quickly. Don't, hold back. But do them swiftly. And especially when it comes to the mitzvah of charity. Right? But again, all mitzvahs, but specifically charity. And where do we get this concept of swiftness? Of doing something not just eagerly. Of course, when you're eager for something, you do it swiftly. If it's ball and chain, perhaps you're going to do it, but it's not going to be done swiftly and with eagerness. We learned this from Abraham, our forefather, Avraham Avinu, that he hastened and went and brought his son, his only son, the one that he loves, Isaac, Yitzchak, in the binding of Isaac, Akedas Yitzchak. Now, the binding of Isaac, which we constantly recall before God as the great test of Avraham, right? That God asks of him, please take your son and bring him as an offering. Parenthetically, it was all a setup. In other words, he understood it meant to bring him as an offering. He just said, bring him on the mountain. There was never the intent, but it was about how much is he just one brief moment.
Good day, sir. Good to see you. Everything's good?
Oh, beautiful. Can't wait till you're going to come.
I can't wait to be here. It's very being at home davening.
I know.
But something very peaceful, and I'm doing a lot more
Beautiful.
reading and getting into it.
Sorry,
Be well.
I've got 100 people online waiting for me. Sorry. So, says the Alter Rebbe, what was his greatness? That he brought his son? No, actually it wasn't. There are many people, saintly people, who have sacrificed their lives. And others, that wasn't what was great about him. It was that he did it with alacrity, swiftness. God comes and tells you bring your son as an offering, well, God himself coming to tell you, obviously you're going to listen. So that was not great accomplishment. As a matter of fact, there were much greater accomplishment by others because God didn't come to them, and yet they gave up their lives. Right, to sanctify God's name. So it is because he did it with unbelievable alacrity. He rose up early in the morning, he saddled the donkey himself. He demonstrated that he was doing it with joy, with eagerness to fulfill God's will. This is what he wants. This is what I'm going to do. Right? And that's why ultimately this is why God says, now I know that you're truly God-fearing, because he went against his nature. His nature was very loving, very kind. And, to bring his own son as an offering, of course, is not exactly kindness on his part. But this is what God wants. So ultimately, this is what's meant to be and has to be. And he accepts it eagerly and therefore goes swiftly with great alacrity to fulfill the will of God. So this is the example that we follow. We learn from him what it means alacrity, what it means to fulfill any commandment, but particularly when it comes to charity. Because charity actually protects us. It saves us. The fruits of charity, actually, the principle of charity is something that will be for us later. But the fruit of charity actually saves lives. It saves us from death. It saves us from calamities. Therefore, it's certainly a benefit of giving charity in this now, in such a manner, because not only God wants it, but it's a great benefit for us when we do it with swiftness, with alacrity. And especially, we're judged every day, so every day, by your giving, you will get a better judgment. That is the beginning of chapter 21. More to come. Someone commits a sin, does it block the flow from the up down? Yes, of course. Every sin does that. Yeah. I was told that if don't donate to charity in a pushka swiftly, and the positive commandment turns into a negative. I don't know, if you don't do it swiftly, it becomes, I never heard that. Jane, is it right to associate the attribute of humility to the lowest world, the concept that the lowest can bring something and give and help the highest? Yeah, very good. Corners of the field to the poor, that's called peya. Yeah, we just learned that in Rambam. An agrarian society, so then the corners of your field is a way that you can be charitable. Yes, absolutely. Okay, to be continued, folks. Oh, should there be a pushka in every room, or only where the Torah study? Very good question, John. And I've been spoken, yeah, and everybody's children's room, they should have a pushka. Children's room needs to have a pushka. And the living area, there should be a pushka in the kitchen. and even on the wall, fastened to the wall. That therefore your house becomes a extension of a mitzvah. Instead of you have a mitzvah, you have a house, and added to it you have a mitzvah. No. Here you have a mitzvah, and added to it you have the house. So the house becomes an extension of mitzvah when you fasten to the wall a pushka. Phenomenal idea. Anyways, folks, more to come. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing, wonderful day and a good Yom Tov.